hung up, and I have decided to upload this as a live because it's just like simple. That way I find I don't have to wait for like a video to process and everything. Um, and so what I'm doing right now is just sort of like checking into, I think like just to connect like with this deeper part of me because I notice like whenever like as a therapist, like when I have sessions, that there's like a part of each session that is also like for me because it's like as the other person is like listening and getting information from me, then I'm also like receiving information at the same time. So it's like the all in one, the one in all. And yeah, it's like I made a video a couple of days ago. It's in the process of uploading now. And it's really about this period of like transition and how we can accept and be in flow in any state that we experience in life. And I definitely can understand that sometimes we may think, right, that it's harder to like tap into like our spirituality, but in my perception, everything is spiritual. And it's just that we have like different ways that we can like look at a thing. Um, like each energy or state of consciousness, state of awareness, there's like opposites. And within that opposite, it's just really like on this spectrum, right? You could love something on like the one end of the spectrum, and at the other end, you could hate that thing. And sometimes we can find ourselves like in spaces and I've had relationships where it's like, oh my gosh, like I really like love this relationship. I love this person. And then maybe by the end of it, I'm like, I hate this relationship. I hate this person. And not that it's ever even been about like other people, right? I think that it's really about us, like who we are, uh, what we're choosing, like to see, to put our focus, our attention on. And we always have like a choice. And so as I'm in this period of like transition, and I'm like, ah, periods of change, like it can feel like so uncomfortable, right? You're just like, ugh, I don't want to have to deal with it. It's gross. It's like, eh. But it's like, is there like also like a blessing that's happening like at the same time? Like, right? There's like a blessing in the transition that we can look for. Like, what are you grateful for? It was like so funny because today I actually was like in, I think a pretty good like headspace. Yesterday, maybe not so much. What was yesterday? Yesterday was shifting like Friday. It was just like I wasn't here for anything. But it's like, okay, it is actually beautiful. Like I can see like how having gratitude and being able to like connect with others like can bring like this meaning because sometimes we're so focused on like a physical component to life, like this relationship, uh this person, this situation, and it's like that there's always the other side of it. So today I thought it was really amazing. I had the opportunity to kind of like hang out and get some sun and do some journaling. And I was like, wow, like this is really beautiful. I felt happy, I felt relaxed, I felt free. But a lady walked up and she said to me, she's uh, like, she said, how are you doing today? And I was like, okay, like I'm pretty good or whatever. And then she's like, I asked her how she was doing. Thank you for letting new subscriber. I asked her how like she was doing, and she says like I'm not doing so good. I'm in like a lot of pain, and my knees are like really bothering me. And I can like relate to like that intense like feeling sometimes we can tap into like with pain. And it wasn't even like to negate what she said, but I found myself saying sometimes like when I'm in that space, I will, try to see like what's going well in my life. So you can get so inundated with the energy of like focusing on like what's negative, what's bad, like what is there like to that's making us like uncomfortable instead of like focusing on like, well, what is the positive? And I could see like the positive was like, well, she was walking, like even though she was like, I'm in pain, but it's like, well, wow, but you're walking. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's like Kittens 19, is that 1980, 1990? I don't have my glasses on, so forgive me. But yes, I am, right? It's like this whole energy of like knowing who we are outside of like a situation that we can experience, outside of like attachments that we can have sometimes, like to, like I said, people or events that are happening, because I know like a lot of like my clients for sure have talked about like this like stuff that's going on like in politics and how it's like stealing their joy because it's like right there's like this assumption though it's like okay it's stealing your joy because maybe you have like an assumption about what does this mean like someone said something and they're having like a really big emotional like reaction to like what was said by someone. And it's like that's like that energy of like sometimes like we're putting our power into something other than ourselves because it's like we're like animating all of life. So it's like when we have this experience and we're like, okay, like, well, this happened, but then it's like, well, what are you assuming about like it being? What are you assuming? It's like, so if this person is like in power, then it's like, then I'm not going to be okay or people aren't going to be safe. But it's like, I am God and there is no other. I am the Lord and there is no other. It's like you get to choose what you experience. I would say for sure, you get to choose like how you react to what you're experiencing, to the assumption that's there. And I like to just gently remind myself sometimes to just kind of come back to this present moment, like using mindfulness to help like with my spiritual journey. Because like when we're like out in the future, and that reminds me of like the scripture, like when you're out and okay, like the future is like way out there and it can feel like, oh my gosh, like something bad's gonna happen. It feels like scary or what have you. But it's like, but it could really be like freaking amazing. Like what if like your wildest dreams come true? Could you be open like to that, you know? Because it's like you get to choose like where you focus like your attention. So I was pulling like some cards like for um this week and I thought they were really beautiful and I just kind of wanted to share like this with others, right? The first card that came up was the Ten of Cups. And I was like, that's so beautiful, like being able to tap into the emotional abundance, right? And it's like on here, like we feel like there's like maybe a couple, they have like kids out there like playing and everything. And it's like the feeling of like love is something that we're able to tap into, like no matter like what we're going through. And I feel like in love and joy, like those two like vibes or whatever, or it's really like the path like to freedom. I hear so many people talk about like they want to be like free. I've heard myself talk about like wanting to be like free. And it's like, but I already am free. It's like why is there like an assumption that like, okay, like I have to do something and it's like if I don't get what I want, like it's bad, or if I don't get what I want in the way that I want it, that is bad. But yeah, it's like so I'm encouraging you like to tap into like this energy of like emotional abundance. Like what does that feel like when your cup is like running over, you know? Ugh, I love that. And the next card I got is the Page of Wands. And you look at how I just said freedom because this card, like the way that she's moving, she's got like the wand up in the air, and it's like she feels like she's in like the flow of life, being in the flow with all that is, and being able to create like from that stance too. Because like the page is like the beginning, right? So it's like it could be like this week will you take like a new action, like inspired action, once you tap into that emotion and be able to just like really tap in and like, okay, like, well, what I want to use like this emotion for, like, what action am I inspired to take? So I think that that can be like really beautiful. It could be something new. It could also be something that you're just like returning to. And the third card that came up here is Judgment. And I love this card so much. And I saw it like interestingly. I was like, when I was shuffling, it's like it came to my attention. And so I think of that as like allowing like your soul to soar, like in allowing your spirit to just like be released. Because sometimes we're like in the energy, maybe we found ourselves there of like keeping ourselves like small or like putting like these limits on. It's like, okay, like, well, these are the rules that you have to play by. And it's like, well, but you also get to make the rules and you also get to decide. And so I love this like energy of like, okay, letting your inner child, you know, like your deepest like desires that you might kind of keep like, kind of stuffed inside. It's like, can you like allow that to be like released to come out and experience and like guide you even, right? And knowing that there's no like bad place like for you to be guided because good and bad are just like man-made judgments, honestly. And then like the outcome is like, oh my gosh, it's like so beautiful. This I don't like mean to look to like what's behind it, but I just automatically saw. And for the outcome is like the Queen of Cups, right? And that's like a whole upgrade. It's like, yeah, like a 10 is like awesome already because it's like, oh my goodness, like that's like the height of joy. But then I think of like the queen as being like the creator of joy. And can we allow ourselves like to create like these beautiful like emotional maybe connections like with other people to tap into like your spirituality. It's like, okay, like well today is the day. It's like it's the beginning of the week. So like what can you do like differently? Like do you plan to do a ritual this week as we're like heading into eclipse season? Are you planning to uh tap into like the energy of like the emotions that might be like sitting like within you? How can you allow that to sometimes like be transformed if it's something that you're like, okay, like, well, I'm noticing this and I can choose to transform like an experience. So it's like you could take, if you're calling it like a negative emotion and actually turning into like something that is like really positive. I think that that's really beautiful. And the Nine of Cups is like behind it. So I was like, that is really amazing. So if you're here, like let me know like if you're planning to do like any rituals this week, like where are you on your spiritual journey? If you're like not even a spiritual individual, um, or like acknowledging, I guess, like being like spirit. So I guess like we could acknowledge it or not. Are you having like any plans for the eclipse energy in order to like create something new? Just had like a wow, I guess it's been like 2 weeks ago, like the new moon in Pisces. I thought that that was really cool, and I am a Pisces. I was like, okay, like, well, that's like really lovely. And so I started doing this. I'm hooked about it, like in the video that's uploading now. But for the new moon in Pisces, I started like this 369 uh sort of affirmation, like where I'm like writing out like what it is that I'm looking forward to experiencing. And so I'm doing like, I've already completed the 3 days. I did like 3 days where I wrote it 3 times a day. And then I'm in the 6 day period now. So I'm writing it 6 times a day for 6 days. And then at the end, I'm going to write it like 9 times a day for 9 days. And so then it'll take me into, I think I said it was going to be around like the end of this month or so. So I'm like looking forward to like what I manifest. But is there something that like you're looking to experience that's like new that you're opening yourself up to? Being authentic with ourselves, I think it's really like valuable. Because sometimes I'm finding myself like in the whole energy of wanting to like push away something that I perceive like to be negative. But even though it's like I understand that nothing is. And I think there's like scripture that says that about I'm like truly convinced that there's nothing bad or nothing negative like under the sun. But if you think that something is bad or negative, then to you it is like bad or negative. So I'm like, I think it's beautiful to allow ourselves like the opportunity to tap in to like how we're feeling without like rejecting it, without trying to hold on to it, without judging it. And yeah, like mindfulness just reminds me that everything just is. Life is, death is, joy and pain just are. Breathing feels really good. So I plan to come on. I may do like something like later today, like after I have like a chance to go inside and take like a evening shower. So I'll either do it like today or tomorrow, where I will like go live and just do like some donation-based readings and definitely like connecting like with others who are open to connecting. So if that's something that you're interested in, I will put the link underneath like this video. Like once it posts, I'll kind of edit and add that. And I hope that you are having like a wonderful day or night or whatever time of the day or night that you see this. And just remember like your true essence. I am God and there is no other. So I will see y'all like later this evening or tomorrow. I hope you have a very good rest of this day and I'll talk to you soon.